Bring in Joy Reid, whose hour this is, and I'm sure has a lot to say about today's momentous 6-3 decision from the Roberts Court. Joy.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, it was something to read today, both the decision and the dissent. And I guess the sort of best way for me to kind of sum it up is, I don't know if everyone here watches Game of Thrones, but if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you will note that in Westeros there is a king, and then there is the hand of the king. And when the king is very young or very old or very mad, the hand of the king is effectively the king. And what I think you saw in this ruling today was the Supreme Court declare their preferred president, of course, because they know no Democrat would exercise these powers in the way they would very much like their next president to. They've declared the president and former presidents to be kings. But they've also declared themselves the hand of the king. This is the key part I just want to read. This is from page 110 from the dissent. This is from Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent, Justice Jackson. With its adoption of a paradigm that sometimes exempts the president from the dictates of the law when the court says so, this court has effectively snatched from the legislature the authority to bind the president or not to Congress's mandates, and it has also thereby substantially augmented the power of both the office of the presidency and itself. What John Roberts said today is that he and his 5 fellow Leonard Leo appointees will decide when the president has erred. They will decide when he has stepped beyond the bounds of official acts, and only they can make that decision. They are the hand of the king. And the last thing I will say is that they repeatedly call for boldness and decisive action, that we need to see boldness and decisive action, and that only absolute immunity and presumed immunity can give a president such boldness. One wonders then how previous presidents have figured out how to implement the Trail of Tears and force indigenous people to march along with enslaved people across this country, mainly to their deaths. How President Lincoln essentially deleted the human property, $10 billion worth of human property from every state in rebellion by fiat. How presidents, let's talk about the presidents in the 20th century. Harry Truman unleashed a nuclear holocaust on 2 parts of Japan. He did that boldly and decisively without fear of prosecution. How then does a new president, a future president, need such boldness to come from the fiat of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, there has been no lack of boldness and decisiveness from American presidents and executives through the years, particularly when operating in the conduct of war, particularly, Andrew.